Well, you have to consider that I am more than 50 years old. So I'm just wearing a lot of influences, and I move from influence to influence depending on what I'm working. So at this precise moment I cannot. Oh yeah, I can tell you that right now I've been the last 2 months just reading St. Paul, some epistles, because I need that for a novel, and so it's like I need some kind of religious mentality that I don't have, and so I've been looking in these epistles, but it's like that, you know, it's like, it depends on what I'm working, how I move in my readings, who is influenced me, but it's not exactly that it's having an influence on me, is that I'm looking for it in order to develop some character or some idea or some way of perceiving the world, of having impressions from the world, of reacting to the world, and so that's a weird reading, I know. That's what I've been doing. I write in the attic. I have an attic where I live right now. You have to know that I've been a kind of a nomadic writer. I don't have a place. I've been the last 14, 13 years changing from city to city. So I am used to adapt myself to the conditions that I get, and in different levels, that's my understanding of life. I get what life gives me, and I just try to adapt to that. And so now where I am in Pittsburgh, in this house, there is a very nice attic, and I write there. It's very lightful, with a lot of, how you call this, when you get light from the sky? Skylight. It has a couple of skylights, and so it's very nice, and it's kind of hill, so that's where I write. I write every morning. Well, when I'm working on a book. If I'm not working on a book, I try to sleep. But I wake up early to write early in the morning. There are 2 levels for that. One level is to recharge daily when I'm working, and the better way for me to recharge is not to have social life, right? I have to quit social life, not to have dinners or to go to the pub to have a drink, to exchange views on the football game or that stuff. That's, for me, the main way of recharging is keeping quiet at night, in order that when I wake up early in the morning, I feel full of things. And if I go out, it doesn't matter if you go to a party or you just have a very private dinner, the same. If you talk, you just leave energy, right? Energy goes out, and next morning I feel a little bit empty. So that's one level of recharging. Then there is another level of recharging. There is the level of when you finish a book, how you move from one book to the other, right? I mean, when you finish a book, that's much more complicated, and I don't see a pattern. I don't see a model how to do it, because sometimes I just wait until things come, and I don't know. I haven't thought too much about how I move from one book to the other and what happens in the middle. No. I've been too many years editor, and so I know. I fight with some kind of stuff. For instance, when I am, and this is very, very nice, it's a very interesting question, because it allows me to explain this. For instance, if I am in here and I'm reading and speaking English a lot, I write in Spanish, the use of adverbs that you have in English is very intense. You have a lot of frequently, publicly, and all this. And so sometimes I discover myself using that in Spanish, right? That we have a kind of similar stuff that is simplemente, that is simple, simply, or publicamente is like publicly, and using this kind of adverbs, and of course I get rid of them. Well, yeah, I have a lot of things in the basement, right? And that's every book is a kind of going to the basement to take the old things up and start to work on it. So yeah, but I don't do the big thinking of it. I just do thinking on the specific stuff I'm working on, right? So, but there are a lot there, I guess. I don't know if I will be able or I will have enough life to do it. I mean, to get rid of all that. I mean, to take it out. I think that the work of writing is essentially spiritual. I mean, everything is spiritual in that sense when you start to write, because first you work with invisible stuff. I mean, you see, when I develop a character, I mean, you are invisible for me, and I am invisible for you. You are just listening, but you don't know what I'm thinking, and I'm just looking at you, and I don't know what you are thinking. I mean, you are invisible for me, and I am invisible for you. And so that's the starting point of everything. And that invisible life is what we call a spirit, right? So everything in that sense is very spiritual. Spirituality has nothing to do with religiosity. Religiosity and spirituality are very different things. There are people that are very religious and are stupid spiritually, right? So there are different levels of things. But writing, in essence, for me, is very spiritual stuff. Well, that's a response that should be personal. I think a writer, in my case, is someone that has a very deep necessity, a very deep need of expressing himself, right? First of all, if you don't need to express yourself, it doesn't make sense to be a writer. What are you going to talk about? You need to express yourself. That means that there is something inside you that you want to take out. You can take it out as a poem or as a short story, but this that is inside you is related with what is outside you. There is a kind of relation, right? But first is this need of expression, right? I mean, you need to express. And then you express yourself through words. I mean, of course, if you're a painter, you do it through images, or if you are a plastic artist, or if you're a musician, you do that with sound. But if you are a writer, you do that with words. And so that's the other level. So you need to express yourself, and you have words. And with words, you create sentences. And with sentences, you create paragraphs. And with paragraphs, you create chapters. And then you create poems or whatever, right? But so that's the other level. A writer is someone that is deeply involved in working with language, right? That deals with language as the prime material to create art. And as you do with images, if you are a filmmaker, I mean, you are just trying to create art with images and of course, much more things. But in the writing process, working with written words is the key point.